Welcome to another edition of Darwin and Dell's Kitchen. Now, in this edition, we're going to cook a Filipino favorite, two ways to name it, which is a crispy pata, which is like roasted leg of pork, which is what this is, a pork picnic, or lechon, which usually means the whole pig. But this guy, you can say lechon raw, it's roast lechon. Now, there's like 100 million gazillion recipes on how to do basically roasted pork with crackling skin, because what you want is the crackling skin with the roast pork. And I'm just doing the one here that my Lola did, that I remember her doing because I used to help her in the kitchen when I got old enough. And since I was the oldest, she gave me something to do, which was to help her out. And I remember her, she would do these on special occasions, like Christmas, you know, religious holidays and stuff like that. Now, she was an abad, you know, and the Hunt-Concons, for lack of a better word, they lived beachside. So, you know, they lived by the ocean and all that. The abads were mountain people. They were Spaniards, conquistadors. You know, they were descendants of conquistadors. And so when she made lechon, roast lechon, or crispy patas, she did it Spanish style, and that's how I'm going to do it here. Spanish style, which means they use a lot of spices and they use a great deal of garlic. So I will show you what I mean by garlic. I will use a lot of this. Now the picnic itself is about 5.5 pounds. So yeah, picnic shoulder, 5.5 pounds. We got this at the international market because the rest of the ingredients I needed, or a lot of it came from international market. Here, of course, I'll be using like 2 tablespoons of sea salt. You can use any type of salt you want. Normally, I try to stay away from salt, but in this case, the recipe requires the salt to help dry out the skin, that to help make it crispy, and also to keep the moisture in on the meat side. Okay, and then basically 2 tablespoons of black powder and garlic powder. So that's here. And then you can also use whatever kind of other spices you want. My wife and I, we love red pepper, cayenne pepper. So we add this. My Lola, which means grandmother in Philippine language, Tagalog, she basically liked garlic and black pepper, and you already have salt in here. And that's what she used a lot. And then when she served it, okay, she would actually add lime. So we'll add some lime to ours when we serve it, but she would add lime juice to it, freshly squeezed lime, because the abads are mountain people, and in the mountains of central Luzon, they love lime, man. They'll use lemon, they'll use lime, so we'll use lime on it. And depending on your taste. But because my wife and I love cayenne pepper, you know, since we are from Memphis, Tennessee, and they love their cayenne pepper. So we'll do that here. So the first thing you do is, what we're going to do is that we're going to pat this dry, lose as much moisture that we can with paper towels. That's what we're doing here, because you want to pat it dry. And you do that, turn it over. Again, you pat it dry. Basically, you got all the moisture that's collected while it's in the store. And again, this is 5.5 pound shoulder picnic. And you know, you can get bone in or bone out, it doesn't matter. Now this recipe. Now, once you've done that, and you patted it dry, then you get a scoring knife. Alright? And now what my Lola did, you know, some people will score it. Basically, you take a scoring knife and you score it, you know, from down here, and you do not penetrate all the way down to the flesh. You just score it into the fat, into 1-inch squares. And remember, you do not go all the way into the fat. I mean, into the meat itself. Just score until you get to the fat. Like what, you know, say there's more than one way to skin a cat, same thing. There's more than one way to basically score your meat. What she would do though, is she'd do this. So I'm gonna do it like she did. using a fork. But you'll see some Filipino recipes where they tell you to score the meat. So like that, you'll score one way and then you come out here and do it like this. I'm going to show you, we'll score on this side. Because you'll see some Filipino recipes I'll say to do that. But remember, you only score into the fat. But we'll do how my Lola did it. She used a fork. Punch a little bit of holes in there. And like I said, only go as far into only the fat. Once you're done, then you flip it over. And here's where the fun part begins. You basically cut into it. And like I said, because the abads were Spanish, what we're going to do is we're going to shove a lot of garlic into this pork shoulder. And like I say, you just shove it in there, man. As like I said, they were Spaniards. And most of the Spaniards lived up in the mountains. And they loved their garlic. They loved their limes and onions, and they loved their lemons too. She used lemons a lot. May need to cut that deeper. There we go. Yeah, that's a twofer right there. I remember when she was cooking this, you could smell that garlic. Oh, it smelled so good. Hopefully mine will turn out just as good as hers was. Matter of fact, I can almost feel her spirit guiding me. Sort of. Alright. Lettuce, garlic too that I got here. We'll also go into the pancit that we'll be cooking tomorrow. on today's hat is from a mate of mine who lives in Australia. He served a very long career with the Royal Australian Navy. Mick Burton. Hi, Mick. And he served aboard this ship, HMAS Darwin. Like I said, he had a long, distinguished career with the Royal Australian Navy. And the Australians are one of our staunchest allies in the Pacific. And they suffered with us during World War II. And they were also involved, as well as the Dutch and Mexico and a few other allied countries, in the liberation of the Philippines. Alright, now here's the next thing we're going to do. I'm going to flip this over again. I'm going to start from the bottom. Is that you're going to get olive oil. But first, we're going to put olive oil right here. We're going to smear olive oil, then we're going to put rock salt. Get the olive oil first, or you can do it second too. I like getting the olive oil first and then rub it. Rub it into the meat nicely. After you rub it in there, then you take your 2 teaspoons of salt. And you add about that much into the first part. Then you just rub it. Give it a good rubbing. See where that sucker fell on that. Put this one here down. Alright, I give it a good rubbing of salt, because this will help maintain moisture, because what you want to do is maintain the moisture with the salt. But then you also want to rub it on the outside of the skin, which we'll use this much for the outside of the skin. But make sure you rub this right here with a generous portion of salt. Okay, now we're going to flip it over to where we want the crackling skin. Because you really want that crackling skin. Alright, now let me grab the olive oil again. And you pour about 2 tablespoons, whatever. Just make sure enough so that you cover the skin generously with olive oil. Once you have done that, then you get this. Again, enough salt. I'm using sea salt, but you can use pretty much any salt you want. And like I said, you can use a lot of salt. I'm using the bare minimum. Because like I said, I try to do low sodium. But you can go as much salt as you want if you really want it salty. Like I said, I'm using 2 tablespoons because that is the bare minimum you need for the crackling skin that everybody loves. Alright, now that we're done doing that, and let me there we go. Found a place for that recalcitrant. garlic. Another one here too. They just don't want to go in there. Alright, then you go in there. I'll show you, boss. Alright, then you take this lovely pre-salted, oh, sorry. Then you take the rest of your seasonings you want. Because this is going to be marinating overnight. Not a marinating sauce, but it's that's why you got the olive oil on here. Any other spices you're going to want. In this case, I'm using garlic powder and black pepper. I'll flip this over. Garlic falling out again. And then another generous robin down here. Again, I'm using garlic powder and black pepper, which is what my granny used, or Lola, as they say in the Philippines. Alright, that'll give it a nice garlicky and it's garlicky and peppery taste. And the last thing I'm going to add there is, if I can find it, here it is. It fell down there. Pitfalls of living in a small kitchen. It's cayenne pepper that my wife and I love. There we go. In this case, I'm going to just leave the top on here. And I'm going to use that much cayenne pepper on it. Now we take this and then we put it in this pan and we leave it in the refrigerator overnight uncovered. And that's what we do. We just leave it uncovered, then tomorrow we'll start cooking it. Well, we will put it in the oven for about 4 hours at 375 degrees. We just leave that long, and if you like crackling skin, some people will turn it up to 500 degrees initially and leave it there for, like, say, an hour until the skin starts bubbling. The way my Lola did it, she did it for like 4 hours at 375, and then basically had me stay there and sit down as a kid and watch it. Only allowing me to go to the bathroom and do whatever, but I had to sit there and watch it, turn beautiful colors and everything, until she would test it to make sure the skin was crackling. So that's what we're going to be doing. So in this case, I've got it meat down, and I'll take care of that garlic tomorrow before it goes in the oven. But here you gotta leave it meat up. I mean the skin up. And we're gonna put it in the refrigerator, and tomorrow we'll start cooking it. And then about an hour before it's due to come out of the oven, Adele and I will cook the pancit. And Adele and I are gonna have roast pork with crackling skin, you know, crispy pata, or lechon, roast lechon, but we're going to call it crispy pata, and pancit with shrimp and scallops. It's going to be good, I guarantee. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, welcome back to Darwin Adele's Kitchen. Now, last night we prepared this, you know, and you saw we prepared it last night, and we put it in the refrigerator to basically let the salt continue to dry it out, so we can have crackling skin. And then pulled it out, and basically what I've done is cut a red onion, put it around here, because what my grandmother did back then was she would put an onion under there. And again, because she liked the taste, and everybody in our family loved the taste. Having all that permeated through there during the cooking process or the baking process. And so you also add water into the pan about 1 inch, because it also allows moisture into the meat and allows the taste of that onion to get into the meat, which is what you want. So we've done that. Let me add just a little bit more water in there. Okay, that's enough, about 1 inch of water. And then we preheated the oven to 375 degrees, which you will keep for an approximate cooking time of 4 hours. And we'll check it we should be about 3:30 here in Memphis, Tennessee. And I'll go back and check on it every now and then, about a couple hours into the roasting. And then keep checking until the skin is actually hard and crackling. So I shall put it in the oven. And then we wait. And then about an hour before we pull it out, I will make the pancit bihon. The way my grandma did it. Back in the day, some of the ingredients we'll be using, like oyster sauce, black soy sauce, regular soy sauce, and as well as I'll be adding shrimp, let's see, scallions, and well, while I'm making it, I'll show you what I got. A lot of veggies, seafood, and a pork chop that I'll be chopping up and all that and adding in there using my combination frying pan wok. It'll be good, I guarantee. Okay, so we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, we put it in about 2.5 hours ago. Take a look at it. Oh man, it's looking really good. So in about an hour and a half, we should have the crackly skin we are looking for. Then we'll put an internal thermometer in there, and if it says 170, which means well done for pork, it'll be ready for eating. So we'll be making the pancit bihon now. See you soon. Take closer to that baby. That just looks so good, and it smells so good. I wish you guys were here. Oh, you can smell it. Okay, hey, welcome back. Now we're getting the vegetables ready for the pancit bihon, and here's what we got. Right now we're going to do the cabbage. We've got the carrots done, and now we get the cabbage, and then we're going to add, like I said, green onions and other stuff like mushrooms, because I love mushrooms. This will be stir fried, sauteed basically, and then it's really the whole process to make pancit. is about 25-30 minutes. It doesn't take that long. Okay, now we're putting all the vegetables in here. Then the meats we're going to be using is going to be shrimp, scallions, a little bit of chicken, and a little bit of pork chops that we wanted to get rid of. So I'm boiling chops right now to make them nice and tender. Cut in little pieces and they'll be stir fried. And then add it all together. And you'll watch just the Pancit cooking process as I'm doing it. But the first thing we're going to do is stir fry the veggies first. And by doing it, by cutting up the cabbage. So I'll be back once we get done. Once we get all the veggies done. Alright, just wash the scallions, and I want you to observe what I'm going to do with the scallions. Or the green onions. Notice I'm going to cut the heads off. I'm going to cut them down to where the onions part until the green leafy part. There we go. Now this we're going to stir fry. Because this is all the nutritious part. All of it's nutritious. But this, along with the meat, I'll probably go, this will actually go last, because this is more of a garnishment. So it's more as a garnish. It puts color into the meal. And really it's going to, just the heat itself, once you mix it up into the noodles, or the pancit itself, the noodles, it'll cook. But really it's more of a garnish. And the roast is done. Listen to that. Crackling skin, baby. How does that sound?
Metallic.
Pretty good. That's crackling skin right there. Just like the way my Lola made it. Basically, I've used about, since this is my Lola's recipe, and she used peanut oil. A lot of Filipinos use peanut oil. I use about 3 tablespoons of peanut oil to get everything started. And you use about 12 cloves of garlic. And you make sure you just use the garlic until it pretty much almost disappears. That is your base, your garlic base. So basically what you want to do is pretty much melt the garlic down. And this is a great thing, man. It's like my combination wok and frying pan. So make a base, and this is going to be a garlic base, really. There you go. Like I said, 12 cloves. Laura's cloves, you can get them. And you saute it until basically it becomes almost like a paste. And then but you don't want to get too pasty, so you add a bit more peanut oil. That's what you're going to do. You're going to add your veggies soon. And when you do that, you're going to add about, you add it in stages. You add about 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, regular soy sauce. Then you're going to add about 3 tablespoons of oyster sauce. And again, this is a product of the Philippines, Mamacitas. You can get this like pretty much any Asian restaurant. And it's pretty thick. But you want about 3 tablespoons. About that much. And then, because it is from the mountains of Central Luzon, black soy sauce. And again, or dark soy sauce it's called. Again, you get this from any Asian restaurant or grocery store. Then you mix it up. Oh, you can smell it now, man, the fragrance. Then we start adding the veggies. Because with the vegetables, you're actually just sauteing them. Remember, you're going to use a very small, the smallest cabbage you can find, and it'll actually shrink. Cook that part first. Like I said, what you're going to do is just saute it for a few minutes. Just saute it until it all gets soft. And if you have to, you can add more peanut sauce, peanut oil. Or whatever oil you want to use. You want to use olive oil, you can do that too. Oh, you can smell it, man. It's smelling pretty good. I think when you mix that garlic, that oyster sauce, soy sauce, black soy sauce, it smells really good. Now, some guys prefer teriyaki sauce. That's fine too. I don't have an issue with that. Use whatever you want, man. Use whatever you want. But make sure you mix that garlic up in there. That should be like that Central Luzon flavor. Look at that, y'all. That's looking good. What do you think, Adele?
Yeah.
Is that looking good?
Yeah. So is this the same as stir fry?
Yeah, same thing.
And today is Friday?
Yeah.
So it's Stir Friday?
Stir Fry Friday? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a thing now?
Yeah.
Stir Fry Friday?
Stir Friday.
And you can use as many vegetables as you want. I mean, like in our house, with my Lola, it was always, like I said, carrots, cabbage were the two main ingredients. Then she'd add green onions. And then whatever else, other vegetables she, felt like throwing in there, like corn. Sometimes she would throw corn. But definitely garlic. She always she preferred a very strong garlic base. And like I said, Spaniards love garlic, man. And Italy's close by, so that's probably why. There's that Roman influence of garlic. And fish sauce, too. You can always add fish sauce to here. If you want to, we didn't, because we had the oyster sauce. But a lot of Filipinos add fish sauce, too. It gives it a very pungent flavor if you like that. I don't mind it. But since we have some friends, we're probably going to give some of this stuff up too. Yeah, they may not like that pungent fish sauce flavor that Adele and I like. But we can add it later. Now see, this initial stir fry batch is almost ready. Say about 3 more minutes. It's ready when some of these cabbages start falling apart like that. Then it's almost ready. Now when it falls apart right in the effort, that's when the stir fry is actually ready. And we're almost there. Now the veggies I also added 2 stalks of celery. Again, that's what my Lola used. She didn't use a lot of celery, but she used celery there just for that little bit of hint taste. Hint of that celery. So she used about 2 to 3 stalks. But really, the base was garlic and cabbage.
and carrots. Mushrooms is something Adele and I added. But a lot of Filipinos use mushrooms too, so no biggie. His cooking aid is Big Wave Golden Ale, made in Hawaii. Brewed and bottled by the Kona Brewing Company, Fort Collins, Colorado. For Kona Brewing Company, Kona, Hawaii. Mahalo for drinking responsibly. So I guess it's made in Colorado for the Hawaiian market. I thought it was made in Hawaii. Oh well. This still tastes pretty good.
Yeah. Nice picture anyway.
It is.
And nice ale.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you want to try something?
Yeah.
Now I'll turn the camera on you. There we go. What do you think of it? Like it?
I approve.
Okay.
It's very good.
She approves. Now we're going to do the meat. This right here is the chicken and pork. This is already cooked, so we just got to do is just stir fry real quick. Is to get all the aroma that's already in the pan onto the meat itself. Which is the garlic, oyster sauce, and the soy sauce that's already in here. Matter of fact, I might add just a bit more. Just a little bit of the soy sauce here. That's like, I think it's about a minute. Because this meat is already cooked. All the thing you want to do is just add the taste in there. Now here we're finishing up the seafood, and as you can hear, the shrimp is almost virtually red and opaque. You just don't want to overcook it. And the same thing with the what do you call it, honey?
Scallops?
Yeah, the scallops. Keep getting that name
Not
mixed
to be
up.
confused with scallions.
Yeah, not to
I get those
scallions.
confused too. Yeah.
Yep. And they're done. So let me go get these and mix them in with the stir fry. Because you don't really need to cook them that long. Now these juices here, you want to keep them in here. And the reason why you want to keep them in there is a pure simple reason that you're going to put about 4 cups of chicken broth, and then after you add the 4 cups of chicken broth, you're going to add the noodles. Now some Filipino recipes, I'll tell you to soak noodles ahead of time. My Lola, my grandmother, never did that. She would let the noodles soak in the broth, in the juices itself, because it said she'd let the broth and the juices of the stir fry bring the noodles to life. And it tasted 10 times better. Oh, it sure did. So we'll be right back with almost the finished product. Chicken broth. Brought this up made in Taiwan, I think. It's powdered broth. And we're going to add 4 cups. See, now you can smell the spices and stuff in there, and like I said, the soy sauce and everything else. And we're going to pour this in there until we fill it up. And that's what the noodles are going to go into. And we'll do that in about a second once it starts boiling. We do it. It's boiling, and we just add this and just let it soak. And we just work it in there. And it'll be good, I guarantee. Just let it soak it up, baby. Let it soak it up. And soon we'll have pancit noodles. And just let that broth just soak up. And Here we are just mixing up the pancit with the stir fry. Just mix it up. Because eventually we're going to add the eggs. That's the garnish. And then the lemons and the limes. And it'll be all good, guaranteed. You get your lime. If you don't want seeds, get a strainer like this. And just add it into your pancit. Because, oh man, this is what turns it into Filipino pancit. It'll be good, I guarantee. And I use several lambs, whatever you consider to be several.
So is this gonna be 8 limes and 3 lemons?
Yep. Now these last 3 limes are more garnish. So if you want extra lime with your pancit, you just take one of the garnishes and you know, squeeze it in there. So that's more of a courtesy, because some people like extra lime. And you know, Filipinos with extra citrus on their pancit, that's not unheard of. Matter of fact, in a lot of Filipino homes, you know, there'd be extra limes and lemons just for that purpose. If somebody wants just that. We're now cutting into the roast. Look at that. It is a fine roast. Fine roast. It'll be good, I guarantee. And then the crackling skin. Listen to that. It is fine. Oh, it is good. Mighty tasty. We'll be feasting for a while. Yes, indeed. So, we're going to fix a plate for my wife, fix a plate for me, and then we'll be back in a second. Now, this is very good. Now, listen. Oh, it is good. Crackly. And the meat. It is nice and tender. I wish y'all were here. Bon appetit, my love. Your dinner is served. Bon appetit.